This week, the opposition criticised the Premier for breaking his election promise.
Malaysians protest in the CBD against the unfair election in their home country.
A special report into social difficulties of those people suffering from hearing disabilities.
And Hong Kong commuters aren't that happy as the government plans to split the MTR Island Line.
This is the evening news with Leung Danielle Staniskov.
Good evening. The state opposition has criticised Premier Barnett for changing the forecast of the iron ore revenue to justify why he's broken his election promises. Timothy Seow has more.
Labour opposition's shadow treasurer Ben Wyatt has accused the Premier of cooking the books to justify why he broke those promises.
Colin Barnett is doing nothing but cooking the books to ensure that he has a reason to walk away from the election promises he made just 2 months ago.
During the election campaign, Mr Barnett made numerous promises, including the airport rail line, Max Light Rail, in an effort to match up with the opposition's robust public transport plan. Mr Wyatt further accused Mr Barnett of changing his forecast of the iron ore revenue by lowering it to $1.5 billion so that he can back away from his promises.
But what I don't accept is changing the process, the method by which you assess royalties simply to deliver an economic outcome in terms of how he funds his election promises.
Timothy Seow, WAMN News.
WA Health Minister Kim Hames has launched a new strategy to improve child immunisation across the state. The minister also called on parents to keep their children up to date with vaccination to avoid diseases.
The new strategy announced by Health Minister Kim Hames this week is an effort to prevent disease outbreaks including measles, rubella and meningitis by lifting the rate of vaccinations in Western Australia.
What people need to realise is that some of those illnesses can kill people.
The figures show that nearly 600 deaths from the late 80s to the late 90s in Australia as a result of vaccine-preventable infections. While the minister said that it is important for parents to keep their children up to date on vaccinations to prevent diseases.
Nearly 600 deaths in a 10-year period as a result of people not getting their children vaccinated. And so I would just encourage all parents to make sure that your child's vaccination is up to date.
The strategy will also focus on key groups aged from 4-year-old children to high school students and Aboriginal children. Charlie Ju, WAMN News.
To other stories, Perth Malaysians held a protest in the CBD accusing the current Malaysian ruling coalition BN of corruption during the national election last month. The demonstrators wore black clothes and marched to the Malaysian embassy on Adelaide Terrace.
After the general elections in Malaysia, Malaysians around the world continued to feel discontent about the election results.
I'm very disappointed. I left Malaysia about 27 years ago. That I went for London. That every single years I noticed it just didn't change every time I went back there.
In the election just gone, the G13, there are many fraud and many cheating.
More than 50 demonstrators gathered at Langley Park on Saturday morning to protest against the alleged ballot rigging allegations during the Malaysian elections, which caused the opposition to gain much less seats as they supposed to. The protest organizer was happy with the number of attendants and vowed to continue their fight for democracy.
So whether it takes 5 days, 5 months, 5 years, we will fight to the end.
Patrky, Lazarz, WAM News.
WA police are appealing to the public to look out for a wanted man that is armed and dangerous. 24-year-old Paul Crosland was linked to a chain of burglaries in Perth where he threatened the staff with a gun and demanded cash. Police have warned the public to refrain from approaching him as his behaviour can be unpredictable. Anyone who has information of his whereabouts should call Crime Stoppers.
The Hong Kong Australia Business Association's National Business Award ceremony was held in Melbourne this week in an attempt to recognise outstanding Australian businesses that has trades with Hong Kong. I was in Melbourne on Friday and filed this report. It's the second National Business Award held by the HKABA, recognising Australia's trade links with Hong Kong.
Delighted to see so many outstanding companies participating in the competition and participating in trade with Hong Kong and China.
I think it's tremendous. It's been a wonderful testament to the National Committee's enthusiasm and their tenacity and perseverance to organise this event.
The gala dinner that night was more than just networking, with the business awards given out to those businesses who demonstrated excellence for trading with Hong Kong. But why Hong Kong is such a good place for them to start?
It was once said that Hong Kong is almost like a historical accident. It is part of China, but it retains all its autonomy, so it has got the best of both worlds.
The national president of the HKABA believes the relationship between Australia, Hong Kong and China is getting closer than ever.
Well, it's very, very close. I'll give you a very good example. A lot of migrants from China to Australia, and some people from Hong Kong to Australia as well.
While different state presidents together believed that the award is significant.
Well, we'd like to recognise those high achievers and honour them for all their hard work.
Yep, I specifically come over here to support all the Queensland finalists and wish them luck, and sure, we'll have some fun tonight.
WA is a boom state.
Yes.
Are you positive that we're going to win a lot?
We do our best, but we leave it to the judge.
Political figures including the Federal Minister for Immigration and Citizenship, Brendan O'Connor, and others have also attended. Ivan Leung, WMN News, Melbourne. To Hong Kong news now. Approximately 10% out of the 7 million people suffers from hearing disabilities.
In this week's special report, YTV senior journalist Dustin investigates what sort of difficulties deaf people are facing and how they break down the barriers to socialise with the people around them.
Listen is a vital part of our lives, and most people took it for granted. But imagine, what if you can't hear anymore? What will you do? And how will you communicate with your loved ones?
但原來咧，由於佢聾，佢所以咧佢冇辦法能夠同人哋溝通交往嘅時候咧，掌握信息。因為人最主要你要思想嘛，思想建立於喺語言系統上面。咁你語言系統唔建立得好，就你思維咧冇咁複雜咁冇咁細緻。
The Hong Kong Association of Deaf has held an activity this week featuring the film called The Hammer, showing how a deaf boxer broke down the communication barriers and later won the national champion on boxing. The chairman of the Hong Kong Association of Deaf, Mr. Mak Hoi Wah, gave us an insight on some of the difficulties that deaf people are facing.
但係聾嘅朋友最大嘅困難就係因為佢由於唔能夠用母語嚟溝通。
Without enough support from the government and the society, deaf people often find themselves in a disadvantaged position when it comes to learning and job opportunities.
做工作成由於啲僱主話你唔同你溝通得到，你又唔識得同佢講説話，冇辦法請你，咁就失業㗎嘛。香港其實喺呢個即係
Dustin Low, WMN News.
And if you want to see the full version of that report, please click on the shorter graphics right beside me. Changing pace now, People Power Party member Albert Chan and former member Raymond Wong have been given a suspended jail term. Both members said the verdict was not fair and vowed to appeal.
Radical lawmaker Albert Chan Wah-yip and Raymond Wong Yuk-man have been given a suspended jail term by the Eastern Court. They were prosecuted for unlawful assembly after the July 1st protest in 2011. Chan was sentenced to 5 weeks in jail suspended for a year, while Wong received a 6-week sentence suspended for 14 months. Both were also fined $4,800 each. Eastern Court Magistrate Joseph To Ho-shin said those violating the law when exercising the freedom of speech and the right to protest would be held criminally liable. Outside the court, Raymond Wong said that he thought the ruling was unreasonable and he will appeal against. Aaron Key, WOM News.
Commuters in Hong Kong Island have expressed their strong opposition towards the government's plan to split the MTR Island Line into two. They're worried that it will increase travel times and create more sardine-like conditions due to reduced train frequencies.
After months of consultations and railway forums held across Hong Kong by the government, a proposal to split the MTR Island Line has been suggested. Under the plan, the Tung Chung Line will split the line on the east, while Chuang Pono Line will split the line on the west. Citizens are concerned that this plan will cause inconvenience for them, especially those who work in the CBD. They held on signing petition and demanded the government to withdraw the plan. They have so far collected more than 200 signatures. Aaron Key, Warm News.
And that's how the world looks tonight. More news on the website.
Don't forget to join us for the Cantonese news on the weekend. Good night.
Good night.